Welcome to Raise Nation Radio, the podcast for nonprofit movers, shakers, and change makers. We are here to fuel your passion with a daily dose of fundraising inspiration while keeping the conversations and connections from the annual Raise Conference alive all year long. Tune in for fresh perspectives, bold strategies, and the hottest trends lighting up the nonprofit world. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, buckle up. Each episode is packed with lively discussions, expert insights, and creative solutions to help you make an even bigger impact. Now get ready for another exciting episode. Please welcome your host from One Cause, Dawn Lego.
Hello, Raise Nation. I'm Dawn Lego, and I am so glad that you've joined us for this episode. Hopefully, you're not discovering us for the first time. We have about 180 episodes on this channel. Over the past 4 years, we've talked to all of you and thought leaders and industry professionals. But if you are new, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have 180 plus episodes to catch up on. But we'll start with this run. So around here, we celebrate purpose and passion and all the people who make impact possible. So without further ado, we're going to jump into this episode and do just that. So get comfy and let's dive in. I have the pleasure of introducing you all to Shai Nuaz. Shai, did I mess that up? I said I was going to mess it up. How did I do?
You did perfectly.
Good. All right. So Shai is the founder of Shai Creates. And you know what? Create is probably a good word. Create, creative, any derivative of that. That's what we got going on here. But I'm going to let Shai introduce himself, talk about Shai Creates, and share with us, Shai, everything that you do in the nonprofit space.
Dawn, thank you so much for that intro. And yeah, my name is Shai. Also go by Shai the branding guy. Just kind of helps you remember what I do.
Shai the branding guy. Okay.
Yeah, and it's what I love to do with Shai Creates. We started back in 2020, and we specialize in branding for nonprofits, and that's our specialty: brand strategy and design for nonprofits.
Okay, break that down for me a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we think about when a nonprofit has a mission or a fundraising campaign. When we break it all the way down, it comes down to how that message or campaign is delivered. So what is the messaging behind it, and how is that visualized as well? So our company and our team helps nonprofits develop a very clear, confident, and consistent message so that their brand is as easy to remember as some of the big brands that we all know, especially in the nonprofit world. And then to complement the messaging, we also create the visual graphics to make it memorable as well.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask you, so how do you blend the storytelling, the visual, the messaging, and make it concise? I mean, we don't have a lot of attention with our donors, these days. They're moving quick, and you want to stop them in their scroll and stop them on your website. How do you do that?
Yeah,
Not easy.
It's not easy, but it's definitely well worth the effort in order to actually come up with a very simple message. And this is kind of counterintuitive. You have to do the deep work. It's almost like as a human being, as individuals, in order to be able to be clear about who we are as people, we have to do some soul searching. We have to go through trauma. We have to go through wins and losses, and all through that deep experience. That's when we can finally say, I'm an artist, or I'm a believer, or I'm X, Y, or Z. Same thing for nonprofits, same thing for businesses. We do the deep work with them. We talk about their story. We talk about their values. We facilitate these conversations. So through that large pool of information that we gather, we can then synthesize a very clear, very crisp, and easy to digest mission statement, tagline, or messaging.
So how long does that process take, right? Because nonprofits need to do things now, right? There's been so much change and so much uncertainty and so much go. And what does that process look like? It's almost taken a step back. And I hear you. You're taking one step back to probably get 3 steps ahead. So very much worth it. But what does the process look like for those of us that are like, I don't want to take that step back?
Yeah, that's a really good question, a very real concern. Number one, I would say anytime we have an opportunity to make real impact and real change, we have to honor the process and investment that it takes.
I know.
And investment is not just money, it is time. Having said that, when it comes to our specific process, what we ask for is to start a half-day workshop with at least the ED or president and maybe 2 other board members if possible. Basically, the people in the room who are working board members, people who are involved, if not on a day-to-day basis, at least on large decisions, so that we have those who have skin in the game in order to do this work. And we do all the facilitating. It's almost like you come in to our therapist's office, you lie down on the couch, and we just do the questions and you just speak your heart out. This is a completely safe, vulnerable, and open experience. And Don, I gotta tell you, every time we do this, it's an emotional experience.
Oh, I'm sure. Wait, there's a lot of passion in the nonprofit space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it reminds and reflects and revisits the reasons why they do it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it requires some effort and even though it requires some time, the end result is not only a reawakening, but also a reframing that truly has impact on the bottom line of raising money.
Yeah. Half-day commitment, that's not bad, right? And I mean, I think it's important to reflect and reset and get back to the roots. Like, wait, well, how did I get here to begin with? Why did I want to, eradicate labels for the neurodiverse community? Why did I want to support the elderly? Well, how did I get here to begin with? And so you kind of pull that out on the therapist chair, if you will, just to use I love that. And I think it's so important. And I love the fact that you document it too, right? So that there's almost like a playbook to go back to each and every time, especially when you feel like you're getting off track, right? Because consistency is key, I'm sure.
It's such the key. And that documentation comes in the form of a brand book, a brand guide.
It does. Yeah.
So you have something that you can look to when you're not feeling your best, or the organization is just going through a lot of turmoil, or fundraising is tougher than it is. It's often a place where some decision makers may resort to making decisions and actions that they regret later on. Having that documented, it's a place where you can rely on, oh yeah, we did the deep work. These are our values. We can't stray for them. And even though it's difficult right now, we know by sticking to this playbook that we'll have that long-term consistency that'll bring us back.
So is that when nonprofits typically come to you? Do they typically come to you in crisis, or do they typically come to you when everything's okay and they're like, all right, I have some breathing room to take my nonprofit to the next level? Which do you find more? The crisis?
I love that question. Crisis is always number one. And you know what? When I say crisis too, it might not just be crisis on the fundraising side, which is typically, the root of a lot of the issues. It could also be crisis within the board, meaning there's a lot of different voices and there's not a one voice, there's not one cause. So we come in and help facilitate that so that we unpack what everyone has to say and then synthesize it into something that can lead the entire organization. So a crisis can be in that regards too, or a crisis can be regards to really understanding who is our donor base. Sometimes a nonprofit has 3 different audiences and we have to agree upon how to deliver that message in 3 different ways. And that's kind of nuanced.
Generationally and with diversity in mind. And, hopefully your core values and your goals, but communicating them means you need to know your audience and how to communicate them and meet them where they are. So that's a big one right there. I mean, that's huge.
Absolutely. So, when it comes to what we come in and do with nonprofits, it could be through those crisis moments, but it also could be from the outset where we have the birthing of this mission. And this is not always this case. This is on the rare side, but if there was a message that I could give to any nonprofit leaders or anybody in the space, is that when you think about branding, it's not just about visuals and logos. It's not just about labels. It's not just about things you can see and feel. It's also about deriving meaning. That's what branding is. It's deriving meaning because when and
eliciting an emotion.
Yeah. But like the basis of any emotion is like having some sort of meaning
behind it.
The meaning of my life coincides with the meaning of an organization, I'm willing to do whatever. I don't need something back in return. That's what I love about nonprofits. That's why we specialize in working with nonprofits. When in the corporate world, in the for-profit world, the customer pays a dollar amount and they expect something in return, a product, a service, or some type of goods, right? Or if I'm an investor, I invest into the company, and my motto, my motive is profits. In the nonprofit world, if you do the branding right and your meaning is clear, if it aligns with the right donor and meaning, the donations and contributions can be limitless with nothing to ask.
We like limitless. That's great, Shai. So have you always been in the nonprofit space? What was your calling? How did you get here? Give me your journey, your story.
Yeah. There's some origin stories in my life that are filled with light, but there's also moments that were filled with darkness. And there's a point in my life where I just squandered my talents and my passions, and I was at a point where I didn't have a lot of job opportunities. Thankfully, this was in 2011. I started as a graphic designer, as like pretty much an entry-level graphic designer at a wonderful nonprofit that serves the needs of children with autism and special needs in Los Angeles.
Oh.
And well, what type?
So you founded that nonprofit?
No. I got hired as like the bottom of the barrel, like entry-level graphic designer there because I
see. Got it. Okay. I misunderstood.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry about that. So basically I was jobless for a while because of, just moments in my life where I wasn't making really good decisions. And we can save that for another podcast. But the moral of the story is I found a job at a nonprofit, and, honestly, I couldn't care less what the job was. It just happened to be that a very kind, person there hired me when I didn't have a lot of experience.
Gave you that opportunity, gave you the chance. Right. So no longer squandering your talents. There we go. I get it now. I'm following the story.
And with the foot in the door, Dawn, I realized that they needed a lot of help with branding in their website, meaning this is a website that was in 2011. So it wasn't responsive, meaning it didn't look good on mobile. And just, it was difficult.
All the things.
It was difficult to navigate. So Dawn, over the course of 12 months, they gifted me the opportunity to interview the heads of all the different programs, the schools, the teachers, the therapists, the rehab, some of the students. I videoed dances of special needs.
You got intimate.
And because I needed to rebuild the website, I almost not knowing any better, got to learn every single thing about this nonprofit, even accounting and finance. Mm-hmm. I got a first person view, and that's when I fell in love. When I realized that all of this is designed not to raise the stakes for stakeholders and shareholders. Ultimately, this comes down to these kids who absolutely need help in order to just live. And it was a very emotional and kind of breaking point for me in that if I had a chance to start a company, I would want to be able to provide enterprise level branding and corporate level branding to nonprofits.
But grassroots nonprofits they don't have those resources and opportunities, like a for-profit company might, or an enterprise nonprofit might, and they need it, right? They certainly need it.
And my unique advantage is that I've worked with corporations. I've worked with Fortune 50 companies on branding, on large scale projects. So I
bring that too. Yeah.
I have that experience. So when I speak passionately about branding, because I've seen it work for-profit companies, and then I've applied it.
You're preaching to the choir. You don't have to sell me on branding.
Well, I'm just that's why I am the way I am.
Yeah. I love it. I love the passion behind what you do. And I love the intersection of, talents that were there and not necessarily utilized. Your calling to nonprofit out of sheer, I need to pay the bills, right? Mm-hmm. And your love and passion for branding. And you just made it happen. And now you're making it happen for so many other nonprofit organizations. I just love that story. Is there a standout moment? When you create, how long has Shai Creates been? I keep wanting to call it Shai. Shai Creates. How long has Shai Creates been serving the nonprofit sector now?
For 5 years since its outset.
Wow.
We were founded and working with 3 different nonprofits, right? So it was almost like I was attracting that type of organization because obviously 2020 was the pandemic year, right?
Yeah.
So all of a
Don't
sudden,
remind me.
I know, but the silver lining is that
So many silver linings
the
from the
nonprofits that I
pandemic.
was able to connect with, they were in that crisis mode, and we came in and helped really create those dialogues and those conversations. And now some of these, they've grown up and now they're operating on their own, which makes me even prouder that we've been able to instill things in their organizations that they can now stand up on their own. Talk
Yeah.
about like a success story.
Wow. This is a success story within a success story. So is there a standout moment? Was there a pivotal moment in the last 5 years where you're like, because I'm sure in the beginning it was like a leap of faith, right? And I feel like I did this once, I could do it again. I can do it instead of one-to-one, one-to-many, right? But was there a moment where you were just like, aha, yeah, this feels really, really good about how I'm serving my customers? Is there a standout moment that you could share with us?
Absolutely. Last year, one of our favorite clients, I mean, we love them all. How can you choose between your kids, right?
Right.
But one of our favorite clients and account, they're called PCLA, Parkinson's Community Los Angeles.
Okay.
And what they do is they serve to improve the lives of those living with Parkinson's, not like on the research side with Michael J. Fox and the others doing, but saying, you've got Parkinson's, we get it. Let's just make your life the absolute best it can be right now. So that's what they do. And last Labor Day, we were asked to help out in raising $50,000 in about 4 weeks, and we had about 4 weeks to put it together.
4 weeks to put it together, $50,000, 4 weeks. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. So at first, it seemed like a huge, maybe insurmountable challenge.
Okay.
Right? But what we're able to do is drive home a message. We created a video, we created social media assets, and really simplified the campaign down to $50K for Labor Day, and that was the name of the campaign, and just had a little rhyming to it, made very straightforward.
Simple. Yeah.
Matching that went to it. So we had 4 weeks to build a campaign, 4 weeks to raise the money, and we hit literally to the zeros, $50,000.
Really?
And it was a victory in not just being able to pull off something in a short amount of time, but a victory in that it was a team effort. It wasn't just Shai Creates. It was the board. It was the executive director. It was the president. Everyone rolled up their sleeves. And that shows me that the best type of relationships are not just Shai, you go and do it, or, one cause, it's all about the software just running at itself. It's about how is everyone
invested.
Yes, that tells me that something is brand powered when everyone is involved. So that was a standout moment for me last year.
Good for you and congratulations. I mean, 4 weeks is not a long time to put a campaign together, but to do that and hit your goal over a tough time of year as well, right? That end of August, beginning of September, back to school, distractions, last minute vacations. It's not an easy time at all. Of course, then you're also facing Giving Tuesday on the other side and end of year. I mean, it's sandwiched right in the middle there. So good for you and congratulations. All right. So I'm going to hit you with this. If you were a billboard in New York, in Times Square, what would your message be to the nonprofit world?
Advertising us or like an inspirational message?
Both. Let's do both.
Advertising us is transform your nonprofit into a fundraising powerhouse.
All right, let's pause there. Transform your nonprofit
into a
fundraising powerhouse. I love that. We're going to get that in the show notes. Okay. Now, what's your inspiration? I love inspirational quote enthusiasts. Hit me up with your best billboard for inspiration.
Yeah.
To Raise Nation, I put Shai on the spot right now, right? I didn't even prep him or warn him that this was coming down the pike. So good for you that you're calling, rallying to the cry here.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes back to meaning, right? Like, find your meaning, find your people, right? If you find your meaning, your people will come to you. It's about creating magnetism, not pushing out the message. So if you find your meaning, then you'll find your people.
Oh, wow. We're going to put all of that in the show notes. So how do people get in touch with you, Shai? You have a website, right? And I hear a little birdie tells me that you are going to be in San Antonio, Texas in September. Is that true?
That little birdie is correct. Yes.
Wow. I love that little birdie.
I'm so excited.
When he or she whispers in my ear, all the rumors are true.
The birds are singing and I will be there. I'll be flying over to San Antonio. I live in Washington State in a small town called Chelan, but I'm so excited. My first time ever visiting San Antonio. And so I'm very excited to be there. I'll be there as a sponsor in the Navigator Circle. So please come and see me. I'd love to answer any questions about branding, meaning, and fundraising. But online, yeah, shaicreates.com, like Shai, the branding guy, SHAI, shaicreates.com. Online, Shai Creates on Instagram. And then Shaimoom is my personal handle, SHAIMOOM. And I have a whole host of content that I'm creating for branding and nonprofits. I'm really excited to release it this summer. Been working really hard on it. And so
sharing some of that wisdom.
My MO, my purpose in life was with every person that I get to meet, either that's a moment where I get to help or I get to learn. And I feel like in today's podcast, I got to do both with you. And I hope to do that with more people in the future.
I love that. And for those who didn't catch the whole San Antonio, Texas thing and what we're talking about, we are talking, of course, about the annual Raise Conference where Raise Nation was born 4 years ago. And we're on our 9th annual conference. One Cause hosts this conference along with many sponsors that help us put this together. Shai as one of them. And he's talking about being part of our Navigator Circle sponsorship. And you'll be there and you could answer more questions. What are the trends, though? I want to leave with that. What's hot right now in the branding of my nonprofit? Is that always classic and evergreen and never change? Or are there trends that play a role in branding and messaging?
That's a question that comes up often in our circles, both in like inside baseball circles, but also with clients. And I always answer it the same way. And that anytime you see a trend, immediately do the opposite or do anything to avoid that trend. Because by the time
I love that answer.
By the time something's been called a trend, it's too late.
Too late.
Because the fact it's a trend with the speed at which information travels, that is your cue to say, how can I go against this trend and start a new trend?
How can I be a disruptor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you creating any trends? Do you aspire to do that? Because that's the other thing I do hear a lot. Like, I want to go viral. Well, what does that mean, right? And how is that helping, right? Like, so do you create trends?
What we do is we create, number one, an authentic brand, and then number two, create an authentic point of view. Meaning, anytime we're able to reveal the personalities behind the nonprofits, the actual stories behind those who are both donating and receiving the benefits of the nonprofit, that's where stories and viral moments are built, when real things happen. The manufactured ones are the ones that look like copies of copies, but when it's a real story, when it's something that impacts you, when we're just having a normal conversation, then it has a chance to impact thousands, if not millions of people. So we're less about creating trends and more about let's continue to dig deep and find that fingerprint that nobody has seen yet.
I just love the approach. It's so refreshing. And now I know why you've been around 5 more years. What's your 5-year vision? What do you hope to accomplish in the next 5 years for Shai Creates?
Well, I've just decided with my team, and we don't know.
Are we making an announcement here?
We are making an announcement, yeah.
I love that on Raise Nation Radio.
That to continue to challenge ourselves, we're going to start our own nonprofit from zero to document the whole process, so that people can see how you can do anything you want to change the world by just taking a look at how we did it from the ground up. So that's what we're going to do for the next 5 years, and that'll probably take about 2 years.
That's amazing. Oh, then we'll have to get you back on Raise Nation Radio to talk about the mission and all the nuances and how you evolved. That's so special. Are you able to announce the mission yet, or what population you're going to serve?
So just like I said, we do with clients, we're doing that for ourselves now. So when that's ready, I promise to share it with you.
All right. I want you to do it here on Raise Nation Radio first, please, Shai. Well, I can't wait to see you in San Antonio. Are you traveling with anyone that we need to know about? I heard another little birdie whisper in an ear that we might be seeing some relatives there too.
I was going to bring my wife and my 15-month-old baby girl just to make a wonderful trip out of it for San Antonio, but we're traveling a lot this year. And
oh boy.
Gosh, yeah, the 15-month-old, I think she's going to need a little bit of a break during that time. A little
bit of a break. Okay, let's shout out her name, that precious little.
Her name is Tokyo Rose.
Oh, so sweet. And let's shout out your wife, who really deserves a lot of credit there for Tokyo Rose.
Absolutely. Yeah, her name is Kelsey Rose. So Kelsey Rose and Tokyo Rose. Love you guys.
Beautiful.
But I'm looking forward to making a lot of new friends in San Antonio.
Yes, well, I'll be there. I'll be looking forward to shake your hands in person. Maybe I'll get a little bit more of the scoop or the tea on that nonprofit, but I'm sure you're going to have a wealth of information to share. Thanks so much for being here. I really love your bold, fresh, authentic approach to branding, and I think your clients probably love you already, but clients that are listening, Raise Nation, you're hearing it. They're going to love you too. So thank you so much, Shai.
You're wonderful. Thank you, Don. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode. I know there's never enough time, right? A heartfelt thank you to Shai from Shai Creates and to our incredible listeners. You're the heartbeat of Raise Nation. Your stories, your passion, your impact, what makes this community so very special. So don't be a stranger. Tune in, reach out, and maybe even join us on the show. But until next time, you stay fearless and keep raising the nation. Fearless Fundraisers, that's a wrap for today. A heartfelt thank you to our guests for sharing their stories, insights, and expertise. And to you, our fantastic audience, for everything you do to build brighter tomorrows in our communities. We hope today's content inspires you to amplify your mission and grow your impact. Don't forget to join us for new episodes every Thursday, wherever you listen to your podcasts, or catch us on YouTube and on demand at onecause.com. Before we go, we'd love your help in growing this podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, follow, and subscribe to Raise Nation Radio. Share it with a friend, and please leave us a review so we can continue delivering content that inspires and empowers. Raise Nation Radio is produced in partnership with One Cause, your go-to for digital fundraising solutions that connect nonprofits with their donors and drive results. Visit onecause.com or scan the QR code to schedule a one-to-one with their fundraising experts and explore the latest tools and innovations to help you reach more and raise more. Plus, be sure to check out their extensive catalog of free resources to support your mission. All the links are in the show notes. Raise Nation Radio is inspired by the annual Raise Conference, presented by One Cause. We'd love to see you in person at the next Raise event in September. It's a 2-day experience featuring over 35 CFRE accredited sessions, dynamic speakers, and the latest innovations from our sponsor pavilion, and priceless networking opportunities. And while you're there, don't miss the Fearless Fundraiser Party. It's where memories are made and lifelong friendships are formed. Secure your spot today at onecause.com/raise. The link is also in the show notes. Until next time, thank you for tuning in, and as always, stay fearless.